The town center, the Bethany Town Center, and she was basically asking for a new sign, a wall sign, as well as a decal for the front door. It met both our non-residential design review committee requirements, as well as the sign orders for the town of Bethany Beach. I think is it a pet store?
No, it's a children's store.
A children's store. Children's store, yeah.
And that was approved.
Yeah, it was approved, yes.
Second item, Lou, could you provide us with updates and any of your personal comments on the
You mean from the
council meeting yesterday?
Yeah, sure. I don't know if people realize it, but the town of Bethany Beach received $600 and almost $35,000 from the American Rescue Plan allocation for lost revenue caused by the pandemic. That money will be distributed in, I think, three separate allocations. We also sent a resolution to Del Dot for changing the speed limit on Kent Avenue down to 25 miles an hour. Since that's a state highway, they have control of that, and so they needed a resolution from the town council to request that rather than just ask. We've asked multiple times in the past, and it's been turned down. But apparently there's a good possibility that it'll happen this time. So,
Speaking from experience, that's become as heavily traveled as US 1 in the last year or two.
Yeah.
The truck traffic is just
yeah.
tremendous.
Also, we discussed and approved the repeal of the mask ordinance for the Boardwalk Plaza and any area in downtown area of Bethany Beach. And we also approved that the fireworks will proceed, and it will be on the evening of July 5th. That was all the issues we dealt with yesterday.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, John.
Lou, could I just ask, they went to the state for Kent to lower the speed limit. Did they go to ask for a lowering of speed limit anywhere else? Like on Collins Street, it's 25.
Well, we have control of that, not them. That's a town street. Kent is a state street.
Right. I thought in the past, I've asked this question before, because in the summer on
Well,
Collins,
it should be 25. I mean, all the streets in the town are 25 miles an hour.
I understand.
Yeah.
The foot traffic and bicycle traffic on Collins Street is very heavy in the summer.
Yes.
And my question was, is there a possibility of, in the summer, lowering that speed limit for pedestrian and bicycle safety?
Below 25 miles an hour?
Below 25.
Well, you could put any speed limit on there, but I mean, if people are still, they're going to travel the speed they're going to travel. I mean, if you put 15, they'll do 25. So.
Well, at 25, they do 40.
Well,
and it is truly a dangerous situation.
Yeah, that is something that have we been looking at as a possibility of, developing walkways, but also involving, it's a lot complicated than it appears, going across private property and stuff. So,
thank you.
yeah.
Okay, there are no public comments because there's no public here. New business. We don't have any new business unless somebody has a comment. We really can't do that. Okay, old business. We will continue the general review of the comprehensive plan. The way this is going to work, after talking to John and John talking to other members last month of a good way to proceed with this, it's been decided to go page by page on the plan and make changes as we go through it. Is that correct, John, since I wasn't here?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that's correct. So that as we look at changes, we're all here and we can hopefully agree on those changes so that Lou has something that the commission has endorsed as we go through, that gets submitted. That's correct.
Good.
And Lou, I just emailed you you should have received a link in your town email for this document.
Have I?
I just sent it to you
Oh, just send it to me?
5 or so minutes ago, so you may have received it already. You should have received it.
Yep.
All right, so that's the first hurdle, is you actually got the link this time.
Yeah.
So I think Andrea had suggested that if people were having trouble, I know they don't have, not everybody has their laptops with them or anything, but we could figure out how to make sure everybody has access to it. Because I think this will, prove to be, as John, Kathy, and Diane have seen, pretty simple in terms of how we edit it, because we won't have to like go through every line here and then go back and retype it and then come back and reread it, would be the notion.
Yeah, it's working.
All right. So maybe Lou, it was just the @Mac address or something that didn't work for some reason.
I don't know.
Maybe Google and Apple weren't
Well,
playing nicely.
I'm actually glad it's on this computer.
Yeah.
You know, this is the town one, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Because the other one I would have to.
Yeah, that's a good stuff.
It's not a laptop.
Yeah. And then Susan, maybe it's just the Google Drive issue, which.
I don't know, I'll go get mine and bring it in.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I can walk through how we're accessing it as well.
Okay. Cool.
Good work, guys.
And then Mike, we're down to you. We'll figure out how to make sure you have access to it too. So then everybody's in the loop.
Well, I'm the chairman, so I don't really need access.
All right.
You guys-
That's good too.
John, you had a question. That's right. Look up the definition of responsibility of the chairman.
I just want y'all to know if I'm leading the IT department, we're in really big trouble. This is a sinking ship.
John?
Mr. Chairman, you should never let me have all that time driving down for these meetings, because I get to think about a lot of things.
Well, then move here full time.
I've been trying now for the last 10 years, and it hasn't happened. I think we all know where each of us are in terms of what we view the 2022-2032 comprehensive plan to roughly look like. But since we are all together and we're now going to start editing, I think it might be helpful for those that wish to opine on it to speak about their view of what it should look like going forward, so that we have an idea beforehand if there are diversions or new things that we hadn't thought about, and we can reduce that discussion a little bit if everybody just kind of gives their own general overview of how things should go.
I don't have a problem with that as long as we keep it brief, maybe within 2 minutes, a person or less, and I will be the timekeeper. So, yes, we can do that, John, and since you're the vice chair, you may start.
Thank you very much. Looking at what we accomplished in the 2012 to 2022, the goals that were set out were reasonable, were objective, and as it turns out, achievable. We addressed almost every one of the issues that are in there. And if you go back to the forward and what the vision of Bethany Beach has been from the very beginning. With the fact that this is a 1 square mile town, pretty much built out, I don't see any major new additions or necessarily changes in the goals that we would be addressing in the 2022, 2032 plan. There are certainly individual areas that we might want to more emphasize. Pedestrian and bike safety. Parking has come up as an issue. We need to address affordable housing. We can't solve it, but it needs to be part of the plan, and we need to make sure that the state understands that we will continue to work on that. So I don't see major new additions or deletions.
Thanks, John. Diane, do you have any comments?
I really agree with what John has already said, with the emphasis of, what the developments are that are developing around us, but there's not much we can do about that. The other thing is to continue to see, I think, transportation, basically parking and bicycle and pedestrian safety, along with the future of maybe what we're going to do about e-cars.
I'm sorry.
E-cars, the electric cars. If there's going to be stations available for people to charge.
Good, thank you. Scott?
I agree with that. I have, I think, one thing to add to it, which is just the probably the major challenge that all of the coastal towns are going to be facing, which again, we can't solve directly, but is sea level rise. And so I think we have some kind of individual notes that are like addressing that here and there, but I don't know if it's something we want to package into one paragraph or something about I don't know what the town can do about it. I just know that it is going to be a major challenge over the next 10 years and looking forward.
Good, thanks, Scott. Kathy?
I would echo what my colleagues have just said and was going to add the flooding issue. I think it's one of the things that's on so many people's minds that I speak with. Maybe it's because I live in a neighborhood that's really, really affected by it, but going forward, I would hope that the town could come up with something. And I don't know if we have say over all that the town can come up with, but that's certainly an issue.
We have a voice and a recommendation.
Yes, yes.
So, okay. Lou?
When we go up with our completed plan and approved by the town council, it has to also be approved at the state level by the equivalent of the Planning and Zoning Commission for them. And they have certain requirements that each of these plans should meet. Many of them for coastal communities are extremely difficult to do primarily because of most of these towns are built out per se, and also the cost of land and homes are extremely at the higher level within the state. So when you deal with issues like affordable housing, it's extremely difficult, almost impossible to meet what they would like to see. In addition to that, responding to your comments about the electric vehicles in the future, I'm also the president of the Delaware Lake of Local Governments, and there's a bill that's being proposed from the state that every single town within the state of Delaware has said no to regarding that. What they're proposing, and first of all, I think battery-powered cars are a number between 5 and 7 years out to the point where there'll be a significant one of the things they're asking all the towns to do, not asking, they were demanding at some point. I had to remind them about home rule requirements, that we have our own rules. They wanted us to basically start placing these units all through our towns, these charging stations. And I just reminded them that parking is already a premium here in most coastal communities. And the kind of technology we have today for recharging, it's not something you could do in 20 or 30 minutes. We're talking about 4 or 5 hours, that thing sitting there, occupying a space. So that's not going to happen. And they've also indicated that we should modify our building code so that all new construction must include facilities for charging electric cars. And my response to that was, basically, if you can afford a Tesla, you can actually afford to sit there and have your house wired to charge your car. I don't think the towns should be responsible. That would be like any other. You're building a new house, and these are the options you'd like to have in it. I think that should be part of it, not something mandated by the town for something like that to happen. So.
Yeah, I think, if I can echo just out of order, Susan, I think certain things, because you said parking and people use the beach, yeah, the trolley, as far as I'm concerned, relates to that concept where we're trying to, it's not an electrical car, obviously, but it's a method that the town has followed that allows people not to drive their vehicles. And
Yes.
I think that's it. It's a pollution issue, not a type of car
Right.
issue, in my mind.
Yes.
So I think the town has done something by doing it. I also think the surrounding communities, because we do have a parking problem, have done something too, because we have a lot of buses
Yes.
from communities that come in and drop people off. So they reduce the traffic. From my standpoint, yeah, we can look at the e-car situation, but I think we have to incorporate these things that are actually happening.
Yeah.
Because we have a parking problem.
Yes.
We will always have a parking problem.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way around it. So I think that, the town's commitment to providing as much mass transportation, because let's face it, we don't have any buses from the state. If the state would start running more buses, well, maybe something will happen. I don't think it will.
Well, they actually do run them in the summertime here. So,
Yeah, but as far as
Yeah.
beachgoers, that's a minor part of that. So
Yeah.
I agree with everybody, but I just want to emphasize that maybe we're doing something as it is.
Regarding parking, the town and the council has decided to continue the practice we did last year. All the beach ends, if you're a residential parking permit, you can park there as well as pay park. So to extend that to our community, keep that the way it is. And also we've requested to see if we can eliminate having people wearing masks on our buses or trolleys, because all the windows are open to begin with. So we're asking permission. Right now, the state requires that all public transportation, you have to wear a mask. But we're seeing if we can get a pass on this, because all the windows are open in our vehicles. So so.
Well, maybe we could use the emphasis of, hey, we run these trolleys to save pollution. Put the two together.
But so I mean that's I just meant to say that also.
Okay. Susan.
Yeah, I don't have much to add, although I agree with Lou on putting in these stations for electric cars. It's not something that's, it's not a zoning issue, it's not a building issue. It should not be included in our requirements for development of any kind, really.
Well, I think from the building inspector, that's a very important statement that we have to keep in mind when we do this. The only statement I have, and I'll come to you, John, is I want to thank Lou, because I was here for the 2012 writing of the plan, and I know all of you have been here at different times since then, some for the update. The plan really, and John, you mentioned this, that Lou spearheaded back then really has been a realistic, which is unusual for any 10-year plan to be realistic. And things have been met. So I'd like to thank you, Lou, and that's why we asked him to help us do it again. Thank you, Lou, for what you did in 2012
and 2017
too. Exactly, we were going to say in 2017, which was a similar update situation we had here, and you've done a fine job. Thanks so much, Lou.
Thank you. The only difference between then and now, I'm a hell of a lot busier.
And maybe a little bit older.
Oh, gosh.
John?
Mr. Chairman, I was fortunate also to have been part of the last 10-year plan. And I echo what you just said, and thank Lou. And I do one observation. The getting the words on the piece of paper, I didn't appreciate how difficult that was in the last 2 iterations that Lou did. And what we're trying to do, the yeoman's work that he did, and so I want to say thank you. I would like to just build on what Scott said about sea level and so forth. I think going forward, that is an area that the resiliency of the town, that needs to be another one of those focuses. The town has, in fact, done many things. They've got the property away from the coast. We've got a mobile command post. But the ability of the town to respond to those types of situations. I mean, it seems to rain harder. They got the first name storm out in the Atlantic. So resiliency and all is something that should be a part going forward. And additionally, in the e-government area, we clearly need to be sure that within our ability that the electronic systems of the town are as protected as they can be from ransomware and so forth. That's one of those areas that typically I wouldn't focus on, but that needs to be something that the town is taking care of so that we don't get held ransom, like Colonial Pipeline and lots of others. And so those are 2 areas that I think need to also be highlighted or included. They may already be there, but we need to make sure that we address it.
If I may say something?
Yes.
As far as our ability to address that issue, especially the sea level rise, the only way that I see, and I think Susan will agree with me, is basically directed through our ordinances as far as our building code. I was on the state committee for sea level rise and flood damage prevention. A document was generated and approved by the committee. It was sent to the House, and there it sits, 2 years. It was not approved.
To I think to add to that, I think resiliency is a really important word, and I think it covers a lot. So it could cover ransomware, it could cover sea level rise, it could cover any number of things that come up. I think the issue is, you want to find a way to have some language that allows the town to be as flexible and adaptable as possible. So I don't think it's necessarily, as with a lot of this stuff, I don't think it's necessarily saying, here's how we're gonna solve it. It's just identifying that ransomware is a threat, sea level rise is a threat. Like these are threats to the existence or continuing operation of the town, and we're going to look for strategies to deal with it. I think a lot of them are things that Susan has already undertaken, like the building codes and having them adapt to freeboard lines and just stuff like that. I think having a higher wind rating for the town than the International Building Code requires, things like that are progressive and forward thinking. That's where we want to be, so that we're not sitting here requiring people to in that case design a house for 90-mile-an-hour winds, because that's what the International Building Code says is going to happen. But having an architect sit as our building code official allows someone to be forward thinking and say, hey, 90 is probably not the top, no matter what they say right now. So it's just stuff like that. I don't think it means we have to have like a big, you know, a bunch of to-do lists, a long to-do list. I just think it's recognizing that these are real issues and we need to be prepared for them.
Also, Scott, keep in mind that Delaware is the lowest state in the nation.
Correct, yeah. Which again ties into e-cars.
Yeah.
If the town's gonna go what are you gonna do? You're gonna put the charging stations on 12-foot tall poles and have an extension cord running, you know, so we have to think about all of that.
Well,
Buy an F-150 Lightning,
I already signed up.
you have a Tesla, plug it into your truck.
As long as it's not underwater, yeah.
well, I'll tell you, if my daughter's gonna be in town at our next meeting, I'll have her, she's getting her, finishing up her doctorate in coastal engineering. And she talks to me a lot about, sea rise and things like that. If we have time, I'll ask her to come in and give us a freebie, tutorial of, what's happening, so. Okay, I think we've done pretty well, and I do appreciate everybody being fairly quick on that. Could we start our review for the day,
Fine?
please? Okay. John, I'm going to give you the lead to start.
Mr. Chairman, I'm looking at page 7 of the Google Docs, the forward. And the changes that you will see on my pad, they're in red, and these reflect Kathy's and my suggestions of how to change the forward. And you will just see that one, it recognizes how the town responded to the pandemic, and rather than in the second paragraph or the third paragraph, rather than limiting developments within 10 miles of Bethany Beach, we just said developments. That's something we're not under control.
You're on page 7 right now?
Pardon?
Which page are we on?
Page 7,
Right.
and it's entitled Forward. The section that was actually up here on the screen when we first started.
Okay,
Yes, that's me.
cool.
Oh, you're at the
Alright, so
forward.
are you,
Yeah, that's,
That's he, I'm
You're
right now.
in control of it right now?
Right now,
Yeah,
I'm at that.
okay, cool.
here.
Anyway, those were changes that I suggested to just have it accommodate our current situation. And that the forward is drawn very much from the language that's in the existing plan, only recognizing that we're now looking 10 years forward. And since I wrote it, I'm pretty comfortable with what's there.
Yeah, fine with me.
You got the first page with it.
It's up. What?
I said we have agreement on our first page.
Yes, yeah. Next page? They all have to be changed.
Right.
why does it keep on shut off? 2007 BM $sign. So there should be Rosemary Hardeman. How do you make that? You just go up there and make the changes right there?
So, Lou, if you have it on editing, you'll see in like the top right corner, it'll say either suggesting or
Request
editing.
edit exit
You
right there?
should, oh yeah, you should already, oh, this is through Will's, I think, right now. So I
Yeah.
just sent him a link. I can actually edit it right now in real time. So,
That's Rosemary Hardeman.
so you see, as I was typing, you're seeing the,
Yeah. And then after Jerry Morris, we want to add Faith Denault.
after, awesome.
And take off Chuck Peterson and put on Patrick Shepley.
Did I just spell that right?
L-E-E. And I'm the town council representative.
Rather than
Yeah,
ex officio member?
yeah, I'm the town council representative. You also want to add Susan Frederick, building inspector.
Building code official or building inspector? Now you're gonna make me spell the word inspector. Did it.
All right?
So that's the most high pressure typing I've ever experienced in my life right there. I'm pretty proud of myself.
The town, now we're on the next page. We have to put Molly Daisy as a town clerk. And John Apple as the assistant town manager. Right? Yeah.
And we can change this stuff anytime.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be now.
But I mean, there's a lot of people missing off this stuff, like Will's not on it, Janet Connery's not on it, Julie Molesky isn't on it,
Yeah.
Michael Redmond's not on it, Brett Warner's not on it, not Ron Foreman, he's going, so. I mean, this is the town staff, so that they should
Yeah.
be all listed.
With access now, this can be changed any time. And you can see it's happening in real time because we're not looking at my screen right now, we're looking at your screen.
Right.
Posted here, so as I'm typing, you're seeing it. So that's the beauty of the Google Docs now, is that like anybody makes a change, it's seen instantly, and you can all be working on it in it at the same time. So I would humbly suggest that we do the names later and get to the
Okay, let's move
substance.
along then.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah.
All right, do we want to do the county council or no?
Oh, we can update that later.
Yeah, I think
All right.
the more data entry side of it, we should just do outside of the hearing.
I think page 10 just needs the dates changed. And then in the last line, the bottom of the page, needs of the future rather than whatever was there.
Agreement on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, on page 10, or I'm sorry, page 11, the second paragraph where it says update at the end of it, those are numbers that somebody has, but
Where are we at? See, I have different numbers here on this than you do. See, that's page 1 there. See that on top?
I think he's on page 2. The
Page
second
2.
paragraph says, at the end of the second paragraph says update in purple.
Update, yeah.
I mean, those are numbers that I don't have. Somebody might have. I mean, it reflects data from 2009. Well, from the Delaware.
Yeah, that has to be updated, but I don't know the number.
Is that something that,
We can find that out.
okay.
I actually think I have that data somewhere.
Lou, maybe could you just highlight it on the change that needs to be made?
And John, I think the difference in your page numbers is that the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 or 7 or 8 pages were notes on the differences between the 2012 and 2017 update. So those have been removed from this document. So those first 9 pages have been removed because they were I think.
Yeah, thank you.
I didn't do that, but
Lou, your comment, update numbers is all we need, I think.
What that?
Just your comment, update numbers is fine.
Yeah. Oh, come on, man. I may have a hard time with this thing for some reason. I don't know why.
Everybody okay with them too, except for the numbers, right?
I guess we have to change that to
Okay.
the 2012 to 2017. That has to be changed. Yeah. Yeah, 2022 to 2032.
and unless people have comments on the suggested language, which you can see in a different color, it'll be pink or purple or green or whatever. I'll just click accept and it'll become an edit instead of a suggestion while we're going through it.
All right.
Susan, where did you say the dates? Is it on page 2 still?
Yeah, we go back up.
It's right at the title.
Yeah. 2022 to 2032.
Oh, at the bottom. I got you. Yep. Oh, wait, though.
I thought it was, I had here notes that we said 2017 to 2022.
That's what it is.
But these are accomplishments from 2012
Oh,
too.
I'm sorry, yes.
So that heading is
Yeah,
still
yeah.
correct. Yeah. Oh, to 2022 instead of to 2020. There you go, okay, yep.
Right. Page 3.
Lou, the language, the minor edits that we have, was intended to make it clear that the town, the planning commission and the town were aware of the need for affordable housing, and would continue to pursue it. It doesn't solve the problem, but I think hopefully that's sufficient language for you to finesse it with the state, like you have done so eloquently in the past.
Yeah, and obviously, as everyone knows, it's getting worse.
Yes.
I mean, housing here in Bethany Beach is outrageous. I mean, outrageous.
Right. Do you want to make the wording here mandatory or passive? Because shall is the word, you know, if we're mandating we're going to do this, we should use not will continue. It should be shall continue.
All right.
Well, you
Yeah, maybe
mentioned-
it should say in and around Bethany, in or around Bethany Beach instead of in Bethany Beach, since we know for certain that we won't find affordable housing solutions in Bethany Beach.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Well, that puts aside our sphere of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I sort of like it in. That would put our nose into Ocean View and everybody else. And as Lou explained 2 months ago, they're not too happy seeing Lou or anybody from Bethany Beach at any time.
So Mike, you're saying keep
I
it
say
as
leave it
in?
the way it was in Bethany Beach because it's our 10-year plan. And
Yeah, I agree with that, yeah. Just get, that's the only place we can control is here, so,
plus
Yeah.
the other local communities would,
yeah.
you know, I'm sure Susan even has problems with it. And I know the Bethany Beach people don't like it when Ocean View or Millville tell us what we should be doing either.
So, just a note on floodplains, just brings to mind that if we are gonna put something in here about resiliency somewhere, we should just keep an eye on where that goes as we go through the document, or
There's-
we do it at some other point.
Yeah, there's no changes to this section. We're still doing all of that. It's-
Right, these are still accomplishments, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just saying as we go through it, anything we wanna add, just keep in mind that
Yep.
where that should go.
What's a flood fringe area?
What's that?
A flood fringe area?
It's areas basically that are not included in the flood zone, but, you know,
Okay.
there's pockets.
Okay.
The map that they came out with is crazy. You'll not be in a flood zone in Bethany West here, but the next house is. And if you think the water's really gonna stop because it's said, the map says so, you're crazy. But those are kind of fringy
Okay.
areas that are really near the flood zone and
But
should be
not in the flood
considered
zone.
as
Okay.
potential flooding.
Okay, thank you.
Scott, with headline floodplains, I think the P should be a lowercase.
Okay, another just question. Is there a difference between the flood hazard area and a flood plain?
No, that's what they're called. It's the SFHA areas, special flood hazard areas.
Okay,
That's what's on the map.
okay.
That's what that
Good.
is. I don't know if we're looking at this state-of-the-art hotel, which recently is being sold.
I'm sorry?
The hotel is being sold.
Oh, it's sold.
All right, is it still going to be a Marriott?
Yes.
Okay, all right, just curious.
Speaking of that, we had the representative, the new manager of the Marriott came to town council yesterday. And he said a couple amazing things, believe it or not. That Bethany Beach Marriott is the #1 Marriott in the world on average daily rates. In the world. #1 in the world. That little hotel right there. In the world.
Wow.
In the world.
In the world. In, of the entire Marriott system, that's #1.
So Marriott's going to continue to manage it and use their computer system? for
The
booking all that.
average daily rate there is $400 a day. And in the summer, it goes over $1,000 a day.
Maybe I'll rent my house.
And they have very high occupancy rates all year round. I mean, I was shocked when they said that, quite honestly. And it's based on average daily rates, you know, yeah. #1 Marriott in the world.
What does #1 Marriott mean?
Huh? Has the high, based on average daily rates
Oh,
and occupancy. They have the highest occupancy and average daily rates of all the Marriotts in the world.
oh,
All the Marriotts that are, or whatever brand that is. I mean,
What's that?
whatever brand name that is within the Marriott Corporation.
Yeah. Yes.
okay. Anybody have any comments on this page?
Wrong, yeah, what?
Page
Just
3.
in that same paragraph, the permitted the redevelopment of an existing antiquated lighting facility, blah, 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 that will go a long way toward promoting year-round commercial activity. If we're talking about accomplishments, will is future tense. So has gone a long way,
What is
or,
wrong with this shit?
yeah.
Good catch. Based on Lou's comment, maybe it should be long, long way.
And I think that's a true statement if you think about like the Fire and Ice Festival and things like that, that the hotel has encouraged or maybe even sponsored, or however that stuff has gone. We're trying to bring people down here, and we're there trying to get people to come here in February, and probably one of the reasons why it's a $400 average daily rate, even at the beach here in February.
Do we want to put something after that paragraph about the town's purchase of the Walcheck property and the,
Yes,
I just want to call it the kaleidoscope, I don't know.
yeah,
why.
yeah,
Calliope,
yes.
property next to it, for maintaining the wetlands?
You're suggesting directly below the hotel paragraph?
I think so, yeah, because then it goes, I think we should go, rezoning and then maintaining, purchased 2 parcels. One was 12 acres. We can go back, and the other was 2.7.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both Army Corps wetlands?
2 parcels of land
Totaling approximately 15 acres.
Yeah. 12, 13, 14.7. Yeah, approximately 15 acres for preservation, for wetlands preservation.
Yeah.
Abutting
Yeah, that's for, for wetland preservation.
Yeah.
preservation.
They would have been primed to sit there and develop, absolutely primed to develop, right along the
Both
waterway.
properties contain both state and federal wetlands.
Yeah.
Lou, in regard to what we've done there with those 15 acres, are there any other, like, areas that the town might be looking at to conceivably buy, to add to that, or to serve as buffers? I mean, I'm not sure I'm making myself.
No, I understand what you're saying. I'm trying to think about your question. There's really not much land left to buy in this town.
There's very few large parcels left. The
And they're
Annie
mostly
Cooper
on-
was one,
On Kent,
but that has been sold to, both parcels have sold. One was subdivided, as we know, into two
Right.
parcels. There's a somewhat large parcel up Garfield Parkway, but it's been there, it backs up to the new house that's being built on Half Moon right there. There's a
I think
parcel
it's
there,
just
but
sold
it's really
too.
not a important parcel for the town, really. But, and I can't think of any.
and a couple parcels along 26, so that, but they're all privately owned, but.
They're all privately owned
yeah.
at this point.
Right.
With respect to that land, there's a movement right now, the land that the town purchased, it's not that new, but like carbon offsets, where you're preserving existing trees and saying that these are offsetting the carbon emissions of any number of things, or like
Sure.
Microsoft, for instance.
Yeah. why not?
So it might be that the town,
It's
this-
true.
unrelated to this, but that would have been developed, those trees would have been torn down.
Yes,
This is
yeah.
actually a carbon offset. The town could look to see what it wants to do with that, whether it wants to,
Because that, it's waterfront property, so it was prime property.
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it would have been, there were proposals in front of the town to essentially clear cut it. And so I don't know if the town wants to look at offsetting their own carbon emissions with.
I don't think that's an issue for us here. I
Yeah,
mean,
but-
we have no industry here at all, so.
But those rights could be essentially sold the way that like solar renewable energy credits are sold.
Yeah.
And so,
I know I've mentioned that at this group multiple times, but that North Bethany property up there has opened my eyes of what you can do on land that is designated as a floodplain. And you just build right over it. Yeah. And that's, if you see that once like that, you know it can happen again.
what's happening on Fred Hudson Road right now, where there's like two lots, if you head that way towards the salt
Yes,
pond,
yes.
where they've obviously cleared and filled their 5,000 square feet of permitted area.
Mm-hmm.
If you go down Fred Hudson Road, and it's on the right side, it's like backs up to Fresh
Yeah.
Pond State Park. It looks like you wouldn't even know there were lots there before. Now now it's filled up 3 feet above the roadway, or maybe more. So anyway, the carbon offsets could be a revenue stream. I have no idea how much they're worth.
Okay, any other questions on 3? Okay, let's move to the 4.
Right there, right?
Got to go
Down a bit?
down a little bit. There you go. You got it. Thank you.
My only question on this is the note, John, that you added, that the residential bulk density will be reviewed and as the need arises. Does that belong here, or should that be further down when we're not talking about accomplishments?
I would change it to is reviewed and updated as the need arises, because it does come up in the planning and zoning meetings as we find things that, little gray areas that we weren't intending, and somebody figures out a way to reinterpret it. So, yeah, we do review it
Mm-hmm.
a lot.
Yeah, I like that because I'm just in the idea that it's not sort of establishing a goal in a list of accomplishments. It's just what's happening. Do you agree, John?
And then under parking, it's not that the town will enforce the off-street parking for all new, the town does. The town enforces the off-street parking for all new construction.
I made those two additions simply to make it clear that what we had accomplished in the last plan, we weren't abandoning, that going forward, we would continue what we had done in the past and update as necessary and not slack off on the parking. That's the intent of those two additions.
And I think it's just a procedural thing, or it's where that might belong is that maybe that gets repeated further down and says, like, we'll continue to update the residential bulk density requirements when we're looking at like that stuff further down. I don't know if that matters. There's a question for Lou, but.
I'm agnostic as to whether you put it somewhere else. I just wanted to be sure it was in the document.
I think it's fine there. It's, in a way, that the whole zoning code is constantly reviewed and updated and looked at. I mean, that's what we do. We adjust it as needed.
Yeah, I just have an editorial comment on the first line at the top there. We say has always been a problem. When I moved here, it wasn't a problem, but I would just say, since parking is a problem,
We could be more hopeful and say, since parking can be a problem.
this is why we don't want the outlying communities commenting on our town.
You know, just an editorial comment about the parking. I think that part of the zoning that made sure, that tied the number of spaces off the street, on the lot, to the number of bedrooms and all, has had one of the most significant impacts in terms of the size of some of these houses. And it went through almost without a whimper from the real estate agents and all complaining about what we were doing to them.
I think the bottom line is most people don't read.
Okay, well,
I think it's also probably that, and Susan can probably back me up on this, but most of our clients don't start by saying, I want to build an 8-bedroom house. They start by saying, they don't imagine they want to build an 8-bedroom house until they get into it, and then they're like, oh, well, couldn't we do a bunk room over here? Or like, next thing you know.
Oh, yeah.
And-
They start out saying, oh, you know, we don't really want to fill the whole lot. And then they're like, well, wait, can't I just have more?
Yeah.
They get carried away.
Yeah, how many times they were like, oh, but I do need room for my
Clothes.
elliptical or what, or whatever. And it's like,
Oh,
next thing you know, you have a home gym.
Peloton.
Yeah, exactly. It's about the Peloton was the word I was looking for. It's like everyone, and and it's just next thing you know, they're filling out, and next they're asking you to, in the town, to develop. How can you get the most area? So then we're working like with slide rules on the bulk density requirements to say, okay, if you cover 36%, you can. This is how you're going to get the biggest house, but you still have to have 6 parking spots or whatever for whatever.
Right. But it helps, I think, also because it relates also to if you add to your house. So where we're picking up parking is not just the new builds, but in anyone who adds something to their house. If they add a bedroom in any way or space, if that bedroom number increases, they have to increase their parking on site. And it happens frequently.
Now, the downside to it is that, and I don't know that there's anything you can do about it, but it does work kind of against the bulk density. If you think about the character of the old houses in town, they were low to the ground, they didn't have garages, they were they had front porches, they were, 1.5 stories. That's never gonna happen again based on lot values. But what this does is when they try to build the biggest house they can, it almost dictates like 2 full rows of parking on underneath their house and pushes their house higher. And so it works against what you want to have happen, which is like not what you want to have happen, but if you're trying to preserve the original character of the town, like the low scale, so you got to take the good with the bad. I mean, we
But if you
try not to do
didn't,
that, but
if you didn't do that, you wouldn't have any streets because everybody would have to be parking on the street. There wouldn't be
yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right, I have one question. Do we mention specifically, I can't remember, about business parking?
About what?
Business parking for employees of the businesses. Is that mentioned in this?
No.
I just can't remember seeing it.
But we do provide business.
No, I know we do, but
Yeah.
that does impact overall parking. I wonder if we need to address that. Not resolve it today, but just address something that maybe we should be addressing. That's out there for open discussion. It can be a yes or no. Any comment would be appreciated.
I mean, it's obviously a real issue.
Yes.
I mean, if you talk to business owners, they're going to say they have trouble finding places for their people to park. So, I mean, it's part of the parking issue. We should say something about it, whether here or in the goals, I think.
Well, that's my comment, Scott, because we really haven't talked about it
Yeah.
much. But I'm just wondering whether we should just at least highlight it.
If we had any possibility of addressing it, I mean, if there was some vacant land that we might be able to do something, I would be in favor of talking to it. But we don't have the possibility of, I don't think, of addressing that.
No.
And so if we put it in the plan, then we have to address it. And I know it's a problem, but I'm not sure that I would favor raising something that we're not going to be able to fix. Beyond a general statement that we're aware that parking is a problem and that we will continue to address it.
Is that everybody's opinion? Because I'm not going to press that, obviously, but, if you look at solutions like Atlantic City, what did they do their businesses? They purchased they required the businesses to purchase acreage 5 miles outside the town. And the businesses bus their people in so that they don't have to have parking for their employees, things like that. I mean, we did, the town purchased property for, the police department, would you call it, or for, our building?
Blackwater?
Yeah,
Blackwater is for the storage of the trolleys and everything, and for office space in case we.
right, that's my point. The town is taking care of its problem off-site. Should we?
Not for parking.
Well, I think
No, but for a situation they had to take care of. Should that be, my only comment is, that could be something as far as employee parking. Might not work, obviously, but,
you can, so you can either let the private sector just take care of it on their own, or you can require them to take care of it on their own. But you're not saying that the town would purchase space
Oh,
for
no,
business parking?
we spend enough money as it is, I think, and we spend a lot of money on the businesses in this town. They really do get, it's a business-friendly town, and I think that the citizens of Bethany should not be paying any more money for the businesses if they do have a problem. So right now, our solution is we allow the business parking anywhere in the town, and we limit one stretch essentially to business only. And, so we are taking care of them at the expense of the residents of Bethany Beach. So if there's anything else to be done, I think that has to be on the back of the business. That's just personal opinion. And that's back again to, if we don't want to mention it, fine, but I think it is something that has to do with parking and,
Yeah, we do mention something when we get to recommendations. I think we were adding a separate section for parking.
we did talk about it, yeah.
Yeah, and that's later on in the document.
All right, that's fine then. Good. I thought we'd done something. All right, moving along. Sorry about that. Any comments?
Mr. Chairman, did we get everything we needed under government, community services, and facilities?
Go back, me?
Yeah, this is before,
Scott, there's under recommendations maintain optimal intergovernmental relations. That's second line under that should be.
Where are we at?
Under recommendation 1, under government, community services and facilities, it's just an editing document thing, where it says the town council and members, the second line, intergovernment, should be brought out.
Diane, is your mic on? Is it on?
Yeah, is it on? I guess I wasn't talking into it. And then the third paragraph, there should be a space between the second and third paragraph.
Done.
And Scott, the comment about John G. to update, that was this cockamamie idea I had about possibly the town establishing a intergovernmental relations position within the town government, which we talked about, and the view was that the town is doing a good job of it now, and there isn't a need for that. That's what that comment was in there for.
So we just get rid of it.
You can just delete that John G. to update under recommendation 1.
Any comments on recommendation 2 other than what you see?
This is a suggestion on my part also, and it reflects what I talked about earlier, about having the highest and most up-to-date cybersecurity tools to protect against hacking and unauthorized destructive
Okay,
intrusions.
sounds good to me. Go back.
If we go back, no, I thought we needed to update here where it says the town with many other has been working with, and for some reason I had crossed out Dr. J. Pulliam because we don't know that he's there anymore.
No, yeah,
So maybe we just put working with the University of
Yes.
Delaware.
yeah.
And we don't know, we have to probably update somehow the injuries and whatever that is from 2014.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if that date is still available, but we'll see.
Yeah. just-
I'll just put a note that we need to update that.
All right, update, yeah.
Take my name out of it.
Okay.
Okay? Recommendation number 2. And if I'm going too fast, I'm just trying to get us through. Just stop me and throw me back. All right,
I think all these John has to update.
okay? All right, next page.
Next page?
John, you have comments? Oh, John Apple's gonna.
Yeah,
John
Yeah.
Apple.
John Apple.
John Apple.
let's not
Update,
confuse John A. and
all
John
of those
G.
sections.
Sorry.
Because I had the same thing, I said, how come I'm having to update all these things?
Okay,
I know John was trying to get you stuff from,
What's that?
I know John was trying to get you information from Ron Foreman before he left.
Yeah, I got it.
we got
Okay.
water
Yeah,
and we
you-
got,
It was sent to you, yeah. too.
yeah, water and traffic.
Right,
Okay.
got that.
I mean, just a comment on recommendation 3, grants and low-interest loans. I mean, if there was ever a time when to borrow money, now is the time to borrow money. I know that the town has a very conservative financial management, but if you were ever going to do it, it wouldn't be a bad time.
Well, we did get Lou told us we got a $635,000
Yeah,
grant from the feds.
yeah.
We should add that in, I guess.
Yes. Just
And that
put that
being
to
a grant,
update.
I
Yeah,
guess.
put that to update,
Okay,
the grants.
Grants.
Yeah, I thought John Apple was going to update.
Yeah.
I'll
Have them to update, yeah. Yeah, have them look at that whole section there, yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. We're into water and wastewater unless any other comments? Well, future water needs, that's where we say the elevated water tank and pumping station, that's done.
Mhm.
So it's not a future water need at this point. Pardon?
Still doing accomplishments, correct?
Yes.
Oh, all right, well, then, duh.
Right, it's not recently anymore, yeah.
All right, yeah, it's completed.
Yeah, that's better, thanks, Scott. Any other questions on 5? Let's go to stormwater.
Well, I don't have language, Mr. Chairman, but the paragraph that is there, I mean, there's going to be this bladder dam that they're putting in and all. And,
Perhaps.
oh, perhaps. I mean,
It's not a,
but, well, right now it just says, hey, we've spent or the government has spent a lot of money, but we don't have any answers. And I don't know if we want to modify that at all, or just, it doesn't matter to me, but it says there's nor a viable alternative. And at least one alternative was this possible bladder dam to help with stormwater.
I mean, so the perhaps is that the Army Corps is considering it? Is that where it is at the moment?
there's 2 issues about, one of the issues, you can't transfer your flooding problem to a adjacent community. And that's one of the issues. The other issue is obviously the cost of putting that up and maintenance. So some of the things still have to be worked out by our other communities, so.
But Lou, in other words, there's a concern that if we were to do that and we're putting water into the coastal bay, that would potentially affect ocean views
Well, it's more of the, putting it in the Assawoman Canal, and then having the Assawoman raise up and then flood areas outside of the town.
I thought I had heard that they had found that that would not adversely affect the town of Ocean View.
Well, that's been said, the town of Ocean View doesn't agree, so.
Got it.
At least some of the members of the council. And also, a business owner along there was unhappy about it. So, it's a possibility, but still issues have to be worked out. Many years ago, they said, absolutely not, you can't do that. Now that they've said, well, we'll look at it now. Because basically, it inflates and it'll be 2 feet higher than it is now, so water can still go over it, if it exceeds that, but, well.
So if we were looking for language, I'm sorry, what would we say that it's in the planning stages as a potential solution? I don't know, how do you, is it like just a total pipe dream? It's not.
Yeah, or maybe say, something, the Loop Canal is being, flooding, excessive flooding on the Loop Canal is being, what's what it was. Solutions to the flooding of the Bethany Loop Canal are being reviewed.
So we could say the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers completed a multi-year comprehensive study
Such
of
as
flooding,
possible use of a bladder dam in key locations.
and instead of "and" concluded that there were no practical and effective solutions, just could say "and solutions to the flooding issue along the Loop Canal are actively being considered," or something.
Yeah, are being reviewed and, yeah.
We'll have to change the ending then, I think.
Yes.
Are we leaving in that there are no practical or effective solutions?
Yeah,
I mean, is that absolutely
That'll
true?
have to go.
Yeah, right, I agree,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that may be an accurate statement, but if we change it, that'll go. Lou, do you think we should address the town's request to reduce
For what?
the town's request to reduce the speed on Kent Avenue here?
Let's wait to a little bit to see what they're going to say.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. If it's going to be a done deal, or they agree to it, then let's put it in there. If they don't agree to it, then what's the sense of putting that in there right now?
Well, the only thing it would do is say, well, we did request.
Well, huh?
Yeah, you're just saying we're trying. We are looking for.
Or you could say the town has passed a resolution requesting
Right.
Del Dot to reduce the speed on Kent Avenue, which is a state highway.
Right. That's
How's
what I'm
that?
saying.
Yeah. Well, I should say to 25 miles an hour, maybe put that
Yeah,
in there.
yeah.
Yeah, it's good to 25 miles an hour.
Yeah, it should be capital S for state highway, shouldn't it? And town council should be
Yeah.
capitalized.
Yeah.
I just gave it a why the town council.
And state. Okay, thank you. Any comments on intergovernmental coordination? Okay, let's move to the next page.
Mr. Chairman, this is suggested, I'm under recommendation 3, local public transportation.
Yes.
The suggestion language that I had was simply to call attention to the challenge the summer surge and all. That may be a bridge too far.
I think more than a bridge, I think it's a way too far.
Well, this is really if it's a recommendation of planning and zoning, it's up to the council to decide whether to keep that in or not, because it really is their decision. Is it something, and I'll ask Lou, is it something that you would like not to see at the council, or don't, I mean,
Well, to quite honest with you, from my perspective, the whole state of Delaware is really far behind in its ability to sit there and deal with coastal communities. You know, the roads have never been expanded. It's very difficult to sit there and deal with that amount of volume of traffic in a very short period of time. It's like one of these things about, like, goes to the classification of affordable housing. As much as we would, we would like to do something or be involved in that aspect, it's so limited to our ability to deal with this. And also here, I mean, look at the population of Bethany Beach. It typically goes from a year round about 1,200 people, 1,250 people, as much as 35,000. So how do you deal with a?
well, I agree with you, Lou. I think they did everything they could with 26 when they put the
third
turn lane in,
yeah.
but if we're talking Bethany Beach, let's face it, it's only 26 that they could do anything on. US 1 is not that big of a problem down in Bethany Beach. You
No, it's
get
more
some
26.
traffic.
It's 26.
It's only 26,
Yeah.
so I tend to concur with your statement. Why put it in if we can't do anything, maybe?
I'll be very candid. I put that in as a potential prod to the county and state government, because it is not something we can fix, but
John, I understand what you're saying, but they're totally aware of it. No.
I'm not following my story.
I'm not asking you to, but I mean, I have no comment on what but I think the word explore would be, we're not exploring that, let me put it that way.
So everybody agreed to remove that? Okay.
risk of beating a dead horse, back still on recommendation 3. Could we just have a simple declarative sentence rather than saying the town will explore, which we're not going to do? A simple declarative sentence that says the issue of traffic surge in the summer continues to be an ongoing challenge. Or is that,
Well, it's not a
is
recommendation.
that poking
It's sort of a statement as opposed to recommendation, John.
Let's move on.
I mean, John, I agree with you on a certain level. If we don't say something about it, what are we doing about it?
Yeah,
I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, I think, John, maybe you agree, like, not doing anything about it's not really an option. It's only going to get worse. I'm not saying the town can control it, but the town can do like what we did with Del Dot and Kent Avenue and just ask. If you don't ask, I'm not saying I'm not saying the town hasn't done this stuff. I'm just saying if we just say traffic's a problem, it sucks, period. It's not much of a plan. Yeah.
My other question is the problem with parking also self-containing the hordes of crowds that come into town? I mean, is there a limit of how many people we can have in town?
no. Can we limit the number of people we have in town?
No, I mean, does that help with the crowdedness that we have in town, the fact that our parking is limited? You know, if we try to find parking somewhere else, does that increase other problems in town?
Well, I mean, but it's not everyone who's on 26 is coming into Bethany Beach. You know, I mean, a lot of them are filtering from one going to other communities and back and forth. I mean, we could say something like the town continues is negatively impacted by, you know, by the summer traffic on 26 and 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some things we obviously that aren't in our control. The amount of people coming down 26 and then turning onto Route 1 to go outside of the town.
Right.
The number of people that are using 26 within town to get to and from the downtown areas is not in our control either, but it's more in our control, right? So I think things like the crosswalks actually help that. If you feel safer crossing Route 1, you're less likely to need to drive into town. So I think John, when you drafted creative solutions, you know, I think I understand why it's problematic to have that sentence in there, so I'm not arguing for it exactly that way necessarily, but just the idea that, like, if you're saying, if we go to the state and constantly beat the drum that we need a bike lane from up 26 and it's got to cross Route 1 and we just make that the hill we're going to die on, maybe something gets done. I'm not saying that's the thing either. I'm just saying it's not that nothing can get done. Something has to get done someday.
Well,
Whether there needs to be
I
in this
mean,
document or not.
just maybe just make a statement and not, you know, just a statement of what it is, and we're not exploring anything. You know what I mean? I'm saying, yeah.
I agree with that too. That we're not actively exploring something, so we can't say we are. But like, so
I mean, to say the town continues to be negatively impacted by an inadequate state and county road system into the town. Something like that? Huh?
Current instead of inadequate.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, make a decision. You got one?
There's many communities that with the support of the local governments, have developed like circulator buses in their downtown area that just go in a circle, they're free or they're nominal cost to reduce the number of cars and all. That's not something we could do, but if there was a, like DART or whatever, if there was a circulator bus in addition to the trolleys, that might be an aid. That's the
Yeah.
idea.
Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I mean, I think most of the people who are on 2601 are not just coming here, they're going other places. So I mean, a circulator thing for that wouldn't meet their needs.
So I drafted a sentence that says the town continues to be negatively impacted by congestion on the existing roadways into and through the town.
Yes.
So I have one comment under recommendation 4. There ought to be flashing lights on Oakwood, because that's probably the heaviest traveled walkway across US 1, because it's the only one that goes through. Oakwood and US 1.
What, isn't there, which one, is there one going on Collins and Kent, right?
Yeah, we don't have any that. We don't have any that cross Route 1.
No.
I don't think they'd stop.
What?
I had one the other day with my dog and the police went right by.
Yeah. There's a crossing there.
On Route 1.
Yeah, but I was looking at John's comments. You moved, Lou? could
What's
you
that?
go- Could you go back, I think?
This one,
Yeah.
Kathy's
Lou's
comment.
John's comments, or Kathy's comments, I guess. Or in addition, crosswalks with flashing lights have been added to the intersections of Route 1 at Ocean View and Central and Wellington. There should be one added to, the town should ask them to add one to Oakwood. That's the worst of all of them. Because Wellington, it's, you're walking across Wellington, you're walking into a median. And the only drive-through, everybody goes to the beach up at Oakwood. That's the only through street in the entire town. It used to be Wellington, which I never understood why they changed that 30 years ago. Wellington used to go all the way through because they have the big parking lot at the end and it's a parkway. And they closed that off and opened up Oakwood, which never made any sense to me. Well, I know why they did it, but it never made any sense. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. And, so I'd like to add
All right.
that we recommend there be
So,
a flashing crosswalk light.
so the town will advocate for?
Yeah, the town requests, I guess the state puts those up, correct?
Yeah, so state.
Okay.
Lou, isn't there going to be another one, but they have to figure out the drainage problem?
What's that?
Isn't there going to be another crosswalk with flashing lights, but they have to figure out the drainage problem on one?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Because if you go through Dewey Beach, they don't have flashing lights. They have red lights and green lights. Every block just
No,
about.
they have flashing lights.
I know, but I'm talking, the number of lights traffic lights they have in Dewey is, Now, I don't recommend you put one at Oakwood, even though it could use one, because then I think that would create a traffic problem for Bethany. It's not Parkway, it's just Oakwood Street, Scott Oakwood. Okay?
And the town should be capitalized. Thanks, Scott.
Okay, pedestrian bicycle safety, I know there's got to be a comment on this.
Just at that last sentence, an ad hoc bicycle and pedestrian safety committee has been established and will be making recommendations to the town council.
Is it an ad hoc committee, or is it,
No, it's
it's just a bicycle safety committee, right?
yeah, but they have their own members, yeah.
That 40,000 in the next paragraph, I don't remember what we were sent. Is that still good?
I think it is, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no more questions, environmental protection?
It's actually 10, yeah, well, that's correct, officer.
Well, no, that's wrong. I am going to, well, I was going to after this section.
It's off by an hour, it's off by an hour, yeah. Yeah.
When do people want to, I mean, we could go for hours on this, obviously.
No, we can't.
When do we want to stop?
I need to leave around 11 personally.
11 o'clock?
but
11.
11 o'clock, okay, we will stop at 11. Very good, thank you.
Yeah.
And the next meeting that we have in June, plan on, it's probably going to be another couple hours, so
All right.
we
Yeah, that's
plow
fair,
through this.
yeah.
I warned the staff it was coming, but I meant to say that up front when we started. All right, let's go.
Okay, we're on recommendation one, respond to citizen expected total maximum daily load standards, right?
Okay, hold on, I'm trying to get this thing to work again.
Next page, yeah. Environmental protection is the title. Okay.
Is total maximum daily load like a sort of reasonably understood concept at the state level that, whereas we don't need to define it? Because otherwise, if it's not, we probably need to define it, as John
Well,
suggested.
I mean,
Well, I think we need to go back up to this example of meeting this goal, because we bought that property.
So that's an accomplishment.
So it was constant proposals. An example of meeting this goal was purchasing a property that had come to the town several times. I don't know how to word it. Let's see, mitigation. Yes, that has to be changed, because that was to, the ambulance meeting goal was to purchase a property that was,
This is the Walcheck property, right?
yeah, the Walcheck property.
Do we even, we set it above in accomplishments. Do we need to repeat it here, or can we just strike?
Well, it's under environmental protection,
Uh-huh.
so this is
Yeah,
why
you-
we did
yeah.
it. We put it in our annexations and land use, but under environmental protection, it was important for the town to purchase this property to save it from potential development. And you can say,
In 2020, the town, we just had a sentence. The town purchased this property.
yeah, we could say,
After non-title wetlands, you make a statement, you can just say what the town did.
So an example of meeting this goal was that.
Emmerich objected to the project when it was flooded and destroyed.
I'm just, for now, just copying and pasting the language we used above. The town purchased, or was
Yeah, in
that?
2020, the town purchased this to maintain it as wetlands.
This non-tidal wetlands, does that matter?
Shouldn't part of it be, just say wetlands?
Okay.
Just say wetlands, because I think the parts are, they're
Did we
non-entitled.
want that sentence at the end of that? I was leaving it an example of meeting this goal.
Yeah. Leave what we had.
Oh, is it not replacing the proposed
Right.
2008 thing?
Right, they were gonna
Okay.
leave all that and then put at the end, the town purchased the property in 2020 to preserve it as wetlands.
Which I think is anatomized to the town for doing that.
Right.
So that's going to be on the next page, if that paragraph is the way it'll be all the way down at the bottom.
Perfect. Probably should say purchase this property or something to make sure they understand it's not two other parcels.
Or those properties.
Yeah.
After 2020, the thus should be not capitalized. There you go. Yeah, we could put a definition if everybody feels that what a TMD is, DL. You can ask John for that, I guess. John Apple, put that in there.
Any more comments of what's on the screen?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
there's
sir.
actually a definition of total maximum daily load on page 61 of the existing comprehensive plan.
All right, then we should just transfer it there.
So you can just take,
Yeah.
it says is the maximum level of pollution allowed for a given pollutant below which a target water body can assimilate. But that could go there so that anyone that isn't familiar with that would at least know what. it
Gotcha,
meant.
yeah.
Yep, sounds good.
Chairman, noting the time, I think if we get through environmental protection, the last one, recommendation 3, might be a good place to break.
Stop, yeah.
To stop.
Okay, we can do that.
Into economic and community development.
Yeah.
On recommendation 3 here, we want to take out the portion that says, in addition, the town has installed a motion-activated system, number of meeting rooms that automatically turns light. Take that off because it didn't work. Basically.
It broke.
Yeah. I'm sitting at my desk, and I guess if I'm reading something, the lights go off all the time. I'm not moving enough.
We turned it off at our office too. We had,
We don't want to say the building inspector was working in the dark, right?
well, it's like when if you're just working at your computer, if you're diligently working, you're not moving. So it's when you're getting up and like getting coffee and stuff, it's like that's when you're moving. But it's when you're like really grinding on something and then the lights go off and you're like, okay, cool, now I got to stop what I'm doing and go turn the lights back on.
Scott, when you're as old as we are, that's called falling asleep at the wheel. Okay, I guess, any other questions on that?
We're getting there.
Okay. Lou, I hope you like the way we're doing this.
Yeah, I'm getting used to it.
Yeah.
Right now, I find the acoustics very bad in here.
Yeah.
I have a hard time understanding sometimes, so, yeah.
So, good.
Maybe by then, we'll be all back to normal.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our review for today. We'll summarize the actions. I just want to say thank you. Everybody's done a very good job and went smoothly. Nobody got hurt. No feelings got hurt, so that's good. Anybody have any more comments? And I want to thank the staff for putting up with 2 hours of this stuff. Also want to ask the staff why they locked me out this morning. They had to go to the police department. But any comments?
Mr. Chairman, I would just encourage everybody, now that our connectivity has gotten better, if you have time and had comments that you haven't been able to get in, to keep working on it.
I will, yeah.
And just speaking for myself as a troglodyte, once I got in and started to work on it, it actually is intuitively and easily done to be able to get your suggestions in it. So I actually found myself going back a couple of times when I had vowed, I'm not even looking at this because I can't even get in. So
Yeah.
let's press on.
The key, oh, go ahead.
Can we have specific pages if we want to accomplish by next time? So if we can go into specific areas that we can go over at home, that we can put.
Based on what happened today, Diane, I'm not quite sure I would know how to do it because, it does, you just go through what you're comfortable with and as long as Scott's here, Scott, you have to
That's
show
the
up.
key. That is the key.
Scott has to show up.
It's actually, so Diane had it open on her computer also, and if she had been typing those changes, they would have appeared in real time also. So so Lou, when you have it open on your computer, anyone could be in here changing. I will be here, but.
Yeah, I thought you were copping out.
Yeah.
We're not
So
meeting
anyway,
with Scott's not
when's
here.
the next meeting? Oh yeah, I've got a wedding to attend that meeting. The key is while you're working on it at home to be working in suggesting, not editing, right? And then all of your suggestions will show up in a different color from everyone else's suggestions. We'll be able to see them just like we did today. So just, it's a simple button at the top right corner of it. It'll say editing or suggesting. Just make sure you're working and suggesting. And then it'll show Lou, if you make a suggestion, it'll show Lou made this suggestion, and it'll be really easy for us to, as we did today. You're looking at Will's version right now, so when he pulled that up, he didn't have edit access at the time. When you see yours, you should already have edit access, but you could click request edit access, and I think it would ask me to grant that to you or something.
Very good. Well, thank everyone. That was probably the most productive and calm meeting we've had in a long time. Will, same thing next month with, no.
Yeah, John will be running this one next month. John Happ will be running the one next month.
Okay, well, tell John, same thing you did next month. There you go. All right, and do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Hey, I didn't, all I did was put it on a Google Drive and share a link. I wish it had been smoother, but I think